Shalom Zalman. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's start. I guess no Mishnayos. I hope it's not a shvacha crowd because of me. Okay, so anyways, it's a technical daf tonight. Still getting our it's amazing how much time the Gemara spends on this patur of Bailav Imai. Right? That's basically what all these blot are about. Is Bailav Imai. That there's a patur for Bailav if somebody borrows something and he employs the owner at the same time, so that's Bailav Imai. And he's potter from everything. So the Gemara is looking first for sources of what the dinim are of a borrower, and then the Gemara is going to look for sources for what the borrower, um, how we know the borrower was potter if he's employing the owner, meaning the lender. Okay, so we're about 12 lines up from the bottom, not about. We're 12 lines up from the bottom. Last words on the line is Vashoyel Mishalim Esakol. On Tzadi Dalit on the base. Yeah, so the Gemara says Vashoyel Mishalim Esakol. The shoyel pays everything, meaning he's chayav on everything. Because since he's a schnorrer, I guess that's what we'll call him. So he's getting all the benefits, so therefore he's got to take the most responsibility. So how do we know that? So Bishlam Shvuro Mesa. So we know that if something happens, something breaks, that's Shvura, or it dies, that we understand, because it says it for Farish and Apostle. If he borrows something and the animal gets broken or dies. But how do we know if somebody comes and kidnaps the animal? That how do we know that he's high for that too? And if you're going to say learn it out from Shura Mesa, right? But you can't do that because Mala Shura Mesa can't answer the Salagadai to you. Shura Mesa is an einus that literally means that goes up on your das, meaning it's something that somebody can accept upon himself, meaning he says, can I borrow your animal? And within his head, he says, and I know when I borrow the animal, I'm going to be responsible for if something breaks or if it dies. Tamer b'shvuya, but by shvuya, shekain einza deloy salagadaydu. When the guy's borrowing an animal, he's not thinking, oh, somebody's going to come kidnap this guy's animal. It's not crossing your mind. Ella nemra shvuro mesa b'shayil. So now again, we're looking for a source that of the chiyuvim of a shoyl. It says shvuro mesa b'shayil, but nemra shvuro mesa b'shayil mesacha. And it says shvuro mesa by a paid watchman. Malal and shvuya imay, just like over there. The shvuya is with it, and he's chayiv. Afkan shvuya imay. So to here, he is going to be chayiv for if it gets kidnapped. So mifrach mal shomer sacher shekain liftur. By a shomer sacher, it's for a patur. Meaning, I said before, it's a chiyah. Meaning, when we're comparing shvura umesa to shvuya, by shomer sacher, that's for a patur, right? Meaning, a shomer sacher is potter from shvura and mesa. So you're going to say by shoyel shekain lechiyah. By shoyel, we're trying to say that if it's kidnapped, it has the same din as shvura mesa. So we're learning out like Rav Nosson because he says the word "oy" comes to include a shvuya. Now the Gemara is going to go through that. Do we darshan the word "oy" or not? Right? Hi oy mi lechalik. But the word "oy," you need it to differentiate between breaking and dying. Meaning maybe you would think that you only chayiv if it breaks and then it dies, meaning it needs to have both. Maybe that's when you chayiv. Meaning because it says v'nishbar oy meis. So Kamash Malon that teaches us that that the oi instead of the word vi, it says oi, meaning why didn't it say shura umes or vimes? Why is it saying shura oimes? So it's telling us that it's either it gets a broken bone, you're chayiv, and if it dies, you're chayiv. Right? So Gemara asks, Hanichel Rabbi Yonasan, but that only works according to Rabbi Yonasan, who darshans the words that way. Hello, Rabbi Yoshia, what about Rabbi Yoshia? What are you going to say according to him? What's their machlokes? The Tanya ish asher yikalel es aviv es imoy. If a man curses his father, vi es imoy, he curses his father and his mother. So ainly aviv imoy. By the way, cursing doesn't mean to use a four-letter word on them. I had that question last week from somebody who cursed out his mother, and he thought that he's chayiv now because he cursed his mother. Now, I could be within his way he said it. He taka cursed his mother, but cursing does not mean using a four-letter word, right? I think we're all clear on that. I don't think he's getting the Tzaddik of the Year award, but he's certainly not getting he's not a Makal. But anyways.
What is it? What's the din? What is the chiv Makal?
Well, you have to mamish curse them. You have to
take
say
his mother out to supper.
It has to say Hashem should make you, I don't know, whatever, like something like that. Using I think you have to use. I think so.
With the shvua?
I don't know if you need shvua. You need some form of lashon. Yeah. As far as I remember, you need some form of lashon. Like it's yeah. It's not negay to use that. Don't worry about it. Unfortunately, it's not negay, right?
What do you mean? It's negay to anybody who, even if his parents are not alive. What do you mean?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess you could curse your parent. Well, that's not what we're going to see. That's not according to everybody. It's not according to all shitas.
I understand, but I'm just saying. What that means?
You're right. You got me. You're right. It's partially.
In shvua, I thought in shvua. It has to do with shvua, no?
It's some form of terminology that way. Anyways, okay. So it says the Tani Isha Yikalos of a guy curses his father vi es imoy. So that sounds like he has to curse both his mother and his father. What about his father without his mother without his father? Aviv kilel, imay kilel, divrei Rabbi Yoshia. So Rabbi Yoshia will use the vav, right? Divrei, that's Rabbi Yoshia. Mashma shneim ke'echad. It's mashma, both of them like one. U mashma echad b'fnei atzmai, and it's also mashma one by itself. Meaning, without you don't need the extra letters. Antav aleph ach yiflecha kosav yachtav. Meaning, unless the pasuk told you specifically that you have to curse the mother and the father together, we would never have said that. So basically, because of that, so Rabbi Yonasan has the extra oy to darshan, but Rabbi Yoshia doesn't have that. So that's what the Gemara is asking. What's he going to do? If the Gemara says, "Afilu temer Rabbi Yoshia," you can say, he can say it's even going to Rabbi Yoshia l'chalek haba l'chalek hacha loitzarach. Here you don't need a pasuk to tell you that he's going to be chayiv if it breaks a bone, and he's going to be chayiv for being killed. My timer svarahu, because it's a svara mali katla kula, mali katla palga. What's the difference if you killed the whole animal or you killed half the animal? Meaning, breaking a bone is a killing of part of his it's part of the body, so that's a killing. So Mamela, we know once you're saying that if he gets killed, you're chayiv. So if he kills a limb, he's also chayiv. Okay, it's fine. So that's a limud. What?
I don't understand any of these limudim. Why would I think he has to curse both of his parents? He doesn't have to hit both of them. He has to hit both of them to be chayiv. What?
Enochanami.
What?
Yeah, for some reason the Gemara, because the terminology that the Gemara used, I don't know what's the lashon by hitting.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't remember the lashon by hitting. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how we know. That's how we know Shvura, I'm not Shvura, Mesa, and Shvuya, right? It's going to ask Geneva 4 lines down now. Geneva Aveda Mishal Minali. How do you know that a shayel is chayv in Geneva Aveda? Chitem and Elef Mishvuro Mesa. Why don't you learn it out from Shvuro Mesa? Mala Shvuro Mesa. The loy efshel mitra pasuya Shvuro Mesa. There's no tircha that the guy could do. The guy borrowed a shar, right, or whatever. He borrowed an animal. There's no tircha he could do to bring it back. It died, right, or it was broken. But by Gneva Aveda, bottom line is the shayl can go make himself nuts and maybe he could track it down. So maybe instead of being mechayev him to go to pay for it, maybe we'll say, okay, go find it. So therefore, you can't learn it out from Shura Mesa. Eliki Hadatanya, Vinishbarai Mes. The pasuk says if it got broken or he died, ainly El Shvuru Mesa. Geneva Veda Minayin. How do we know Geneva Veda? Amr Kal B'Chaimer. So we say Kal B'Chaimer. Masher Mesacher Shepata Mishvuru Mesa. Shomer Sacher is Pata from Shvuru Mesa. Chayiv Geneva Veda. Chayiv Geneva Veda. So Shayel Shechayiv Shvuru Mesa. So a Shayel who's Chayiv Shvuru Mesa and it didn't Shechayiv Geneva Veda. Isn't it a Kal B'Chaimer that he should be Chayiv Geneva Veda? Right? But a very simple. Kavachimer. And then the Gemara adds, Vizel Kavachimer, Shenel of Tshuva. This is a Kavachimer that there's no, you can't have any, Tshuva is not used the way we use the word Tshuva. Normally we use the word Tshuva as an answer. It's a lot of times the Gemara uses Tshuva as a question, meaning a comeback. I'm saying a Kavachimer. What do you say?
I found the pasuk. It's in Mishpatim. It says, "Umake aviv ve'imo mos yumas."
I wonder. So that's also. Is there a Gemara about?
And two psukim later, it says, "Umakalel aviv ve'imo mos yumas." They're right next to each other,
and they say the same thing. I wonder if it's a machlokes by hitting two. Anybody remember? Familiar? Nope. I guess not. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find that out if there was ever a Havamina that.
Where's Gershon?
You remember anything, Gershon, about it?
You just sat down. I'm catching up.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we have to remember for whenever it is that we hit that Gemara. Okay. So then, but the Kavachimer is saying that you can't ask any questions on it. It's a my anal of tshuva. What does it mean you can't ask any questions on this? If you're going to say you could ask, we had this yesterday's daf. You might say, what do you mean? You can't learn out from Shomer Sacher. Shomer Sacher has a chumrah. Because Shomer Sacher, you could theoretically pay kefil. Meaning, if somebody lies, and he says that it was Shomer Sacher says that it was stolen from him with armed robbers, so he's going to be potter. And if it ends up that he lied, so what's his din? He's going to have to pay kefil like any other ganav. You don't have that by a shayel because the shayel's chayav on everything. So maybe there's a chumrah about Shomer Sacher. Something Gemara says no. Filochi karna de shayel adifa. Somebody who has to pay keren for every last thing, meaning who has to pay the what do you call keren again? Principal, who has to pay the principal for every last thing is more chomer than somebody would have to pay kefil for something. So therefore, the chomer, in order to make a kal v'chomer, you use something that's light and something that's heavy. So the kal is still the kal would still be the Shomer Sacher, and the chomer would still be shayel. Same way you could say a different pshat kasavar. List the mezuyin gazlanu. That he would hold the list of mezuyin is actually a gazlan, not a ganav. So a gazlan, as we remember from Bava Kama, does not pay kefil. Fine. Something what it says asks. So ashkachan lechiv. So now we know all the chiyuvim by shayel. Why a shayel is chayav? Gneva, aveda, shvura, mesa, shvuya. We got it all down. But how do we know that he's potter if the owners are with him? Right. So ashkachan lechiv liftur minalan. How do we know patur? V'chitem menelach mishvura mesa. And if you're going to say you learned it out from shvura mesa, mala shvura mesa shekain aynes. Shvura mesa is different because it's an aynes. Right? So Mamela, that's why if the owner is with him, he'll be potter,
Where did,
right? So, what?
where does the Gemara talk about using a chayfetz of somebody's, not an animal?
It applies. These things apply to a chayvitz too.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Yesterday we said one of the tiruts, and we said, oh, it's talking about a kli, so there's no maintenance. That we did say. We said maybe can we talk about a kli, right? But l'chayra, it's all the same, right? Yeah. Okay. So Ella, so therefore maybe we can't learn it out from Shuru Mason. So Ella going Misham Sacher, learn it out for Shem Sacher. Okay, mean V'Shem Sacher Gufei Minol, and how do we know about a Shem Sacher is Potter if the for Geneva he's Potter, normally he's Chayav Geneva Veda, he'll be Potter if the owners are working for him. Because we learn out the Chiv of Hashem Sacher from the Chiv of Shoyel Mala Halam B'Bailim Potter, just like over there. The Bailam Potter, Afkan B'Bailim Potter. So too here, the Bailam Potter. You hear what the Gemara is doing it? The Gemara is mamish going in a circle, right? The Gemara is saying that we're trying to learn out the Patur of Shoyel with Bailav Imoy. We're trying to learn it out for everything from Shemer Sacher. But how do we know it from Shemer Sacher? Well, that we learned it out from Shoyel. Right, so since Shoyel B'Bailam is Potter, we're going to learn it out to Shemer Sacher, and then we're going to kick it back from Shemer Sacher back to Shoyel. So I'm going to ask, but my Gomer, well, how are you learning this out? Even Mamatzinu, Mamatzinu is like just like you see here. This is the din, so to here is also the din. So you could ask like we asked, Shekain Oines. Well, one is an Oines, so you can't learn anything from Oines. Elamakra v'chi yishal vav ma'isef al inyan rishon bilamer elyim etachton. So it says v'chi yishal, which is the vav, that extra vav adds onto the inyan rishon, and we learn out the top parsha from the bottom parsha. If we remember, maybe we should have said it before. There's 3 parshas of Shomer in the Torah. Right, the first is Shomer Chinam, then is Shomer Sacher, then is Shoyel. So we're saying that the vav, it's not a mamatzinu, because then you could start asking, well, there's different cases, right? There's different chumras, different kulas. So what is it saying? It's the vav is ma'isif on the Yerishan. When it says ve, so that will tell you that whatever it says in the previous parsha also applies to the next parsha. So we're going to ask, Vakati Shom Shomer Sacher loy gomar. You still can't learn out Shoyel from Shomer Sacher. The equal mifrach mala Shomer Sacher she came potter b'shvura mesa. Shomer Sacher is potter from shvura mesa. Tamer b'Shoyel shechayv b'shvura mesa. So he's chayv b'shvura mesa. Right, so you can't learn it out. Okay, so then how do we know that Geneva and Aveda by a Shoyel is chayav, meaning if it gets stolen or it gets lost? To go from Shomer Sacher, we learn it out from Shomer Sacher, right? We learn it from Kal V'Chomer Shomer Sacher. Right, if Shomer Sacher is chayav Geneva Aveda, so Shoyel for sure. We say that it's enough, meaning when you learn out from one case to another case, from the Kal to the Chomer, so you just keep this. You keep the same dinim. You can't learn more. You don't learn less. Just like Geneva Aveda by a Shomer Sacher, the Bailam a Potter. Af Geneva Aveda the Shoyel, now maybe Bailam Potter. So the Geneva Aveda by Shoyel, the Bailam are also Potter. Meaning it goes hand in hand. Once you're learning it out from Shomer Sacher to Shoyel, so you have to learn out that there's also a Patur if the Bailam are with him. So the Gemara asks, that's going good according to the man that says Daya. Elman the less Daya. Michael Amir, the one who says doesn't say Daya. What are you going to say? Elamar Krav v'chi yishal vav ma'isef al in Yerishan. So it says v'chi yishal. The vav again adds on to the first in Yilmad Eliyim Etachton, and we learn out the first parsha from the second parsha. But Tachton me'Elyon, and we learn out the Tachton from Elyon. Means basically the vav, that vav just combines the parshias, and therefore we're going to learn out the same inyanim back and forth, having nothing to do with Kal, Chomer, and all that, which Tosfos points out. But the Tosfos vav Most of Elini Rishon, the 2-line toises is hashta loy tzarich su kavachimer. Chayav shavig name aveda mishemer zara. You don't. That's it. We don't need the kavachimer. We don't need mamatzinos. The vav just makes all the parashas into one big chalent, which we're going to see in the next Gemara, which is not so simple.
Balavima is together with him in that field. What does Balavima mean?
Oh, that's going to be on number base. That's
Okay, fine.
exactly how you define Balav Imon. Right? Yeah, so let's see. But first we have one other machlokes. Itmar pshia b'bailim. So now we're saying that when the Baal is employed by the borrower or by the shomer, then he's potter. Let's say he's a pesheya. He's totally negligent. He's also potter. And when you think about it, imagine that you have a shoyel, he borrows something, or he's a shomer, and then he says, you know what, I'm not interested in really taking care of this thing so much. So what I'm going to do is, instead of reneging on my loan that makes me look bad, I'm going to employ the owner of this item that I borrow, and therefore I'm going to be potter even for pshia. And then he just leaves the animal in the street, and then he's potter, right? I mean, it's a brilliant way to just get out of it. But that's going to be a machlokes. Now, once we're on the din of pshia, since this stuff is a little technical, this Ma'aser Shoya Kachoya 3 hours ago, a guy asks me, I don't know what to do with this. So that's not a riot to anything, but certainly not a choshev But the guy says he was in Eretz Yisrael, and he gave money to his friend to bring to the money changer. The guy says he put the money into his wallet, and then it's lost. The guy that was bringing the money changer says, I have no idea what happened to your money. What status does that? What is that? He says, I don't know if it was stolen. I don't know if it was lost. I don't know if it was kidnapped. He says, I'm not a pesheya. It was in my wallet. I put it into my wallet. It's not in my wallet now. What is it? That's probably a basic question. I mean, to me, I thought it's a pesheya.
Why?
Wasn't there Gemara in Mafkid that spoke about this, where the guy where the Nifkat says Any Yodea, something like that?
It could be. It could very well be. That doesn't mean
We had a Gemara in Bava Kama. Any Shmir L'Ksaf Mel Karka.
So whether he watched it correctly is a different story. But I'm not saying. Let's say a guy just says, I have no idea. So what is that? Is Takanu Gemara Namafkid? I don't know.
I'm gonna take a look.
Yeah, please. And then on that same note, I was reading about Reb Gershon Edelstein. A bacher came to him from overseas. He had a lot of money, and he was afraid he was going to get lost. He asked He asked Reb Gershon Edelstein, who was the Rosh Yeshiva in Panovich, okay, can you hold on to my money for me? He said, yeah. He said, let's count it together. He counts it together, puts it in an envelope, sticks it in his pocket. A few months later, the kid comes over and says, okay, I need my money now. He takes it right out of his pocket and gives it to him. He carried it around wherever he went for a few months. Right? So, I mean, that's not Shmira B'Karka. I don't know what that is, but don't try that at home either. But I don't know. I'm just not sure what that status is. Either way, so I guess the island could keep it in mind if they could figure out what it is. The guy gave him back the money, so I told the person just make sure. I mean, l'chayr is a shomer chinam, that's for sure. Right? He's a shomer chinam. He's doing you a favor. Right? He went to take the money to the money changer for you. You're not paying. I said, you paid him to do this? He said, no. So he's a shomer chinam. So the only thing that he could be chayav for is pshia. The guy gave him back the money. I said, well, you better make sure. I said, don't ask me. I don't know anything about this stuff. But go and find out, because otherwise you might have stolen money. If he's not considered a pesheya, then he better make sure he's giving it to you, belev shalom, as a mechila. Right?
Gemara
Okay,
on Daf Lamed Hey. There was a guy who was Mafkid Kifi, the guy Bechavre, and he said, give me my Kifi. Rashi says where the rings. He says, I don't know where they are. And then Nachman said, Kol lo yadana pshiyusihi. Go pay.
Oh, there you go. Very good. Very good. What time is that?
I think it's Lamed Hey, Hamad Aleph. Two
Very
dots.
good. Okay. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. There you go. There you go. Okay, thank you. So Itmar. So now let's go back to the one.
And I mean that Gemara was different because that Gemara was talking about
Rings.
right rings, but then
It's
it went up.
different.
Then at the end he found them and they went up in value and
Right. Then and now I'm starting to remember slowly.
right. So I'm not sure how that plays into it, but
Yeah, we know, but if you're saying that you call your dan as Pshusi, then that's the story, no? That's what we need.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to check. Lamed Yamad Aleph? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
very
Lamed
good.
Hey,
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, right. To say Idma, Pshia B'Bailim. So let's say it's a Peshay with the Baila. Pligi Bar Rav Acha Rabina. Chadam Chayev, Chadam Potter. One says Chayev, one says Potter. Mandam Chayev Kasavar Mikra Nidosh Lefanov. We only darshan the pasuk to the parsha before it. Again, there's three parshias: the Shemechino, Shemesachar, Shoyel. Right, so the vav was going from the psukim of Shoyel to Shemesachar. It didn't go from Shemesachar to Shemechino. So we darshan from one to one parsha before V'lai Lifnei Fanav, and not to the parsha before that parsha. Hilkoch in Bailav Imoy Hashem Rechinam like Siv. It doesn't say Bailav Imoy by Hashem Rechinam. Upshia Nami b'Shem Sachar v'Shayel like Siv, and it doesn't say negligence by Shem Sachar and Shayel. It only says it by Shem Rechinam. Hilkoch b'Shem Sachar v'Shayel lechiyuv Asib v'Kavachar v'Shem Rechinam. You're gonna have to learn out the chiyuv from a Kavachar v'Shem Rechinam. But Bailim Liptur. But to pata for the Bailam, Apashem Sachar b'Shayel lo, even b'Shem Sachar and Shayel no. My taima kiksiv and Bailav Ima lo yishalem Ashayel Ashem Sachar. When does it say Bailav Ima you don't pay? That's going on Shayel Ashem Sachar. Ahana chiyuvi disivahu ba behedya ude michtav. It's only going on the isurim that it says beferish in the pasuk. So Mamela, he's saying that the pshia does not kick itself back to Shmir B'Bailam. Again, we're just trying to make a cholent. The shaila is, can we make a cholent out of all these parshias? So whichever one, it doesn't say who says what, but whoever is the one that says chayev says we can't make a full cholent out of these parshias. So that we can't hook up pshia with Bailam, right? And mandam apata because I'm a mikra nidosh lefanav v'lifnei fanav. It can go both ways. V'chiksiv in Bailav Imai, and when it says Bailav Imai Shemachinam Nami Ksiv, it says it also on Shemachinam. Fine. So the Gemara asks Tanan. Now the Gemara going to ask a couple of kashas on the shita that says that Pshia B'Bailim is Potter. So whereas a kasha from our Mishnah, Hashoel Hapara, somebody borrows a para of Hashol Bailav Imai, and he also borrows the owner with it, meaning he borrows the para, and he's going to have the owner drive the para. Hashoyel para b'sachar ba'leima. He borrows the para and he rented the owner with it. Shal ba'lea oischaran. If he borrowed the owner and he, how do you say this? Shal ba'lea oischaran. If he borrowed the owner or he rented out the owner, achar kach shal para. And then afterwards he borrowed the para. Umeisan and died potter. He's potter. Ilu shemechinam like a tani. But it doesn't say anything about Shemechino in our Mishnah, right? So l'chayra, Shemechino is chayev. The Mishnah should have said Shemechino is going to be potter, left out Shemechino. So what I asks or answers v'l'tamech Shemer Sachar mikatani doesn't say Shemer Sachar either. Elatana milsta on Tamid Beis now. Tana milsta the ksiva behedya katani. Anything that's written beferish in the psukim that we learned. Da'asi midrasha like a tani, but anything that coming from a medrash that we did not learn. Okay, so that's how we answer. Tashma, similar kasha. All right. Sheila v'shal balaima. Let's say he borrowed the animal and he borrowed the owners with it. Schara v'sachar balaima. Or he rented it and he rented the balam with it. Shala v'sachar balaima. Or he borrowed it and he rented the owners with it. Sachra v'shal balaima. Remember, we have all the combinations. Or he rented the animal and he borrowed the owners. Afa pi shabaylam oisin malacha. Even though the owners are doing malacha someplace else, meaning he's using the worker, he's using the owner of the animal. He borrows this guy's animal, and then he also hired this guy, but this guy's a caterer, so he's catering for him, at a bar mitzvah, and he's using the animal, and the borrower's using the animal someplace else. right? So they're not connected. Umesa, and it dies potter, he's still potter, even though the owner wasn't anywhere near it. Savrua hamani Rabbi Huda, and we thought that this is going according to Rabbi Huda, the Amar, that somebody who rents is like a paid watchman. And this Tana is clearly learning out things that come from a drasha, because it doesn't say Seicher Beferish, Vilu Shemer Chinam like Katani, and it doesn't say Shemer Chinam, which is also learned out from a drasha. Meaning from this, it seems like he is saying things that we learn out from a drasha. So what answers on money Remeir he the Amar Seicher Kashemer Chinam Dami, that a Seicher is like a Shemer Chinam, so Mamela, he has the same status as a Shemer Chinam, but Tana Shemer Chinam, but who adin l'Shemer Sacher. And we're going to say, when we say Shomer Chinam, it also means a Shomer Sacher, right? Which means that the Bryce is telling us that every type of Shomer is potter from Pshia, if the Bailam are with him, or if the Bailam are being employed by him. Batani, right? We had this a couple of times. Rabbi Baravua had a opposite opinion. Seicher Ketzad Mishalim. How does a Seicher pay? Meaning, what's the status of a Seicher? Seicher, again, this is Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rameir. So one version have it as a Rameir is at Shemer Chinam. The other version is Rabbi Yehuda says it's Shemer Sacher. And now Rabbi Baravua has a different version. Rameir Oimer Keshemer Sacher, Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Keshemer Chinam. Yeah. Okay, fine. Now Rav Hamnuna has a new chiddush. So in the previous brisa, it said that the shoyel does not have to be together with the owner, meaning he could be someplace else. Rav Hamnuna says, "La'olam hu chayev, he's chayev achet tehe para v'chayresh ba," until he has the para and he's plowing with it, meaning he has to have the owner with him the whole time. Chamar u'mechamer acharer, has to be a chamar, and he's riding the donkey. Ba'achiu bailam b'shas sheila at shashvura mesa, and the owner has to be with him from when the loan started till the accident happens. Alma kasavar bailav imay akula milsa mashma. According to him, bailav imay is going on the entire. He has to be with the bailam in order for him to be potter. According to Rav Hamnuna, the bailam have to be with him the entire time. So Masav Rava Sheila v'Shal Ba'alima, if he borrows it and he borrows the owners with it. Sachra v'Sachar Ba'alima, he rents it and he rents the bailam with it. Sachra v'Shal Ba'alima, he rents the animal and he borrows the owner. Shala v'Sachar Ba'alima, Aval Pisha Ba'alam Oisin Melacha v'Makam Acher, even though the owners do the melacha someplace else, Umeisa it dies, potter is potter. My love b'melacha acheres. It sounds like he's Makam Acher, is he's doing a different melacha. Right, meaning the animal, let's say, was plowing, and the owner was catering a meal. So he says, "Loi ba'isa malacha." He was doing the same. He was doing the same malacha. So elamai makam achas. And what do you mean it was in someplace else? They were doing the same malacha. So what's makam acher? The kamarpi va'azal kama. What he was doing, the owner was doing, is what he was going in front of the animal. I guess to make it easier on his animal, he was walking in front of the animal, and he's softening up the. Softening up the ground. So Gemara asks, "Well, the seifa al gaba havi." You're saying in the seifa, it's talking about where the owner was with, like literally means on top of the animal. So then reisha b'melacha acheres. So that's mashma that the reisha is talking about where it's a different melacha. The katani seifa shalav achaka shalav aleh. If he borrows it, and afterwards he borrows the owner. Sachra, where he rents it, and afterwards he rents the owners. Ima with it. Alvisha bailam charshan al gaba, even though the bailam are actually plowing on top of it. Umesa, and it dies chayev. It's chayev. So you see that the owner was in the seifa when he says chayev, right? Because it didn't happen at the same time. Again, it said sheila va'achar kach shol ba'aleh. Right, so it happened, didn't happen at the same time. There it's saying chayev, mashma, that the Reish is talking about where it was not at the same time. So Amri Reisha v'Seifa ba'isa malacha. Now the Reisha and Seifa talking about where they were both doing the same malacha, meaning the owner was busy with the animal. But Reisha Rabusa Kamashmal v'Seifa Rabusa Kamashmalan. The Reisha has a chiddush and the Seifa has a chiddush. Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalan. The Reisha has a chiddush. Davagav the lav al gaba. even though he's not on it, ela ba'oisa malacha, they're doing the same malacha, even to have a bailam b'shas sheila, since the owner was employed by the borrower at the time of the loan, potter is potter. The sefer abusa kamashmal, and the sefer's chiddush is avagav dal gaba, even though he was with, there again, the literal translation is he's on top of the animal. It doesn't mean he's on top. It means he's working with it. Kiven delay havi bailam b'shas sheila, since the bailam weren't there, b'shas sheila chayiv, he is chayiv. So when I ask,
he's plowing a field in China, and the animal's plowing a field in Colorado, so he's part because they're plowing a field.
That's one havamina. That's one havamina.
Okay,
Yeah, but the nights we're coming out that he's hanging out with it. It's just the meaning you have to fit it into all the variables, which is he has to be employed by the borrower the entire time, and he has to be hanging with the animal. Yeah, yeah. So the Gemara says, "Hi, mai." If you say the Reish is talking about malacha cheres with seifa ba'isa malacha, and the seifa is not malacha, hainu rabusa, that's the riboy. Alaima amrit Reish with seifa ba'isa malacha. But if you say that the Reish and the seifa is the same malacha, my rabusa, what's the chiddush? Idi v'idi ba'isa malacha avi. They're both doing the same malacha, meaning the owner is involved with the malacha that the animal is doing. Right? So elamai must be. It's l'chayra, it's talking about where it's not at the same time. That's one kasha. And then this next kasha, the next price is beferish, not like a Rav Hamnuna. It says if the owners are with him, you don't pay. Any because the pasuk says both. You know, like yesterday we had the Tanai Kafel. It's like if you do this, then this, and if you don't do this, then not. Right? Why do you need the second part of it? That's part of making a legitimate Tanai. So the Gemara does it here with the Baal of Imoy. It says in Baal of Imoy, meaning if the owners are employed, lo yishalim. Ve'im ein Baal of Imoy, right? Or Baal of ein Imoy, it says. Then shalim yishalim. Why do you need to say both? So that's what the Bryce is talking about. V'oy Tanya. In Mashrash nemer in Baal of Imoy lo yishalim any deyash in Baal of ein Imoy. Shalim Yishalim. If the Baal not with him, you'd have to pay. What does it tell you? If the owner was with him during the time of the loan, you don't have to be with him at the time of the breaking and the death. And if the owner was with him when the accident happened, he also needs to be with him when it was borrowed. Right? Meaning the Gemara is saying, as long as he was there b'shas the loan, he doesn't have to be there by the accident. But if he was there by the accident, he has to be there by the loan. Meaning the point is the Bryce is saying that he has to be there by the loan. The Tani, then we have another Bryce. If the owner is not with him, you have to pay. Do I not know that if the Bailam with him, then you don't pay? What is it coming to tell us in Bailam? Since there's even 1 hour where the owner of meaning the lender is employed by the borrower, Umeisa, and it dies, potter, it's potter. So clearly from both prices we see that you don't need the owner to be there the entire time. So tiyufta the Rav Hamnuna, tiyufta. You don't get a clearer tiyufta seemingly than this. A brisa, right? Rav Hamnuna is an Amayra, and you have clearly two brises that say that you don't need the owner to be employed the entire time. Even if it's partially there, that's it. Fine. Abaya savar like Rav Yoshia, and Mataretz like Rav Yoshia. Abaya holds like Rav Yoshia, meaning this is going back to the sugi with the vav that we had a blot ago, right? Meaning is vav. Does it mean and or does it mean or? So Abaye held like Rabbi Yoshia and he understands the psukim like Rabbi Yoshia. Rava savar like Rabbi Yonasan and Mataretz like Rabbi Yonasan. How? Abaye savar like Rabbi Yoshia, Mataretz like Rabbi Yoshia. Bailav ain't imay shalim yishalim. If the Bailam are not with him, you have to pay. Time of the lesser b'tavayu. The reason that he doesn't have to pay, the reason that he has to pay is because he wasn't there by either one. Meaning he wasn't there at the time of the loan, and he wasn't there at the time of the accident. Ha isa bechada, but if he was there for one, the lesser bechada, he wasn't there for the other, meaning he was there by the employment not but he was employed by the loan, or he was there when the accident happened, he would be potter. For haksiv in balav ima lo yishalim, and it says if the owner's with him, he doesn't have to pay. Time of the isibah. The reason is because he was there by both. But if he's not by either one, if he's by one and not by the other, then mechayev. He's chayev. Loimer loch. So it's a stira, meaning is he chayev for being there only if the owner is only there for one or for both? So what do we tell you? So this is how you have to learn it according to Rabbi Yoshia. According to Abaya, within Rabbi Yoshi, if the owner was there when the loan happened, and it's he doesn't have to be there when the accident happens. If he was there when the accident happens, when it got broken or when it died, he needs to be the b'shas shela. So basically, he's saying that we learn out from these psukim that he has to be there. The owner has to be there for sure at the time of the loan. He has to be employed by the borrower at the time of the loan. On Tamar Aleph. Rava saw like Rav Yonasan, but Rava learns it like Rav Yonasan. Mataras the Rav Yonasan, and he understands the psukim like Rav Yonasan. The Tanya, because he learned it a brayso. The Bach takes out the Tanya. In Bailav Imay Lo Yishalim, if the owners are with him, then he doesn't have to pay. Mashma the Isay B'Tavayu, it's mashma he has to be there at both, meaning at the loan and at the accident. It's mashma that if he's at one and not at the other, then potter is potter. If he says if the bailim are not with him, he has to pay. Mashma the lesser b'devar means he's not there for both, not for the loan and not for the accident. It's also mashma that if he's there for one and not for the other, chayiv is chayiv. So what is all this about? If he's with him by the time of the loan, he doesn't have to be there by the accident. So basically, they're saying the same thing. Right? They're both saying the same thing, that the owner has to be there, the owner has to be employed by the shas shela. They're just darshaning it. One's darshaning it according to Rabbi Yoshia's way, and one is darshaning according to Rabbi Yonasan's way. So now the Gemara asks, maybe let's switch it. Meaning, who says that he has to be there b'shas the loan? Then meaning, as long as he's there b'shas the loan, then and he's not there by the accident, he's potter. Maybe the other way around. So Gemara says, maybe when it's by the accident, if he's employed, then it'll be potter, not by the loan. So Gemara says, Mustaber Sheila Adifa, the loan is better. That's when the borrowers bring it into his reshus. So we're saying Bailav Imai. So it means when you're borrowing the thing, if the Baal is with you, b'shas the loan, that's what's going to make him potter. So Gemara says, Adarabba, Shuru Mesa Adifa. The owner should be there when the accident happens, shekain chayiv ba'insim, because a shayla is chayiv in einsim, so memela he should be chayiv for that, and meaning the owner should be involved then. So the Gemara says, Ilai shayla shvuru mesa ma'yavid. No, if there's no loan, then shvuru mesa is nothing. I mean, you first have to have a loan in order to make this guy chayiv on the animal. So the Gemara says, Ilai shvuru mesa shayla ma'yavid, and if there was no accident, then what is the shayla doing? Still, it's still better that the owner has to be there, has to be employed at the time of the loan. Because right when he borrows it, he becomes chayev in the mezainas. So that's when the chiyuv starts of his responsibility. So when his chiyuv starts of his responsibility, if he's employing the owner, so then that's it. So then that would be pater. That would pater. Rav Ashi Amar Kari has a different way of understanding that it has to be that the owner is employed at the loan. Rav Ashi Amar Kari b'chi yishal ish me'imrei. It says if you borrow a man borrows from his friend, v'lo re'eu imay, and his friend is not with him. Meaning when the borrowing happens, his friend is not with him. Then shalim yishalim, because he wasn't there at the loan. Harei imay. It's mashma if his re'eu would be with him, he would be potter. So when it says, if Rav Ashi is darshaning it from Re'ehu, so then why do you need the pasuk of Bailav Imai or Eini Imai for? So when it answers, if not for this, then I would have said that that's just the way the pasuk talks about Re'eu. But now that we have the pasuk of Baila Ve'enimai, and it also says Re'eu, we know that it has to be that he's there, b'shas, that the owner / lender has to be employed by the borrower, according to all opinions, at the time of the loan. He does not have to be there at the time of the accident. Okay, it was a little technical. I hope it was understandable, but even with the late start, we finished on time. Chaval, I'm not home. Now I'm still got to run around for a miter. That's just the way it is. Anyways, okay, let's stop.
Yeah,
over
but you're in
there.
ballpark, so no one's gonna bother you there. You can find them.
Oh yeah, because finding a parking in Borough Park is the same as walking across the street to a minion. Anyways, okay, let's see it till him. Pay Gimel. Shimmer Zmalo Sof, Elim Adom Eloch, Atechrash, Otishkoid El. Kine Yevecha Yamana Mustanach, Zurek, Shalam, Yumusai, Yisiat Zulzunecha. Amr Luchuman Akidim, Megavi Lai Zach Hashem Yisrael, Aid, Kinayat Levachda, Valecha Brisich Roisu. Allah Adam Yishmael, Meyava Angrim, Gvava Amain, Vamalik, Kaleshas, and Yoshvitzar. Kam